All right, so we are right here. All right, so this first slide right here, it's talking about observing the cell cycle. And these are actual pictures from probably an electron microscope, because it's all black and white like that. And he's already in. And it's showing different stages of mitosis and cell division and cell reproduction in probably a plant, because these cells are squares. So it's showing different like levels of craziness going on there. So there's this kind of roundish structure with all these darker areas inside. Does anybody know what part of the cell that is? So where my cursor is kind of moving around, I'm moving around this kind of roundish area that's holding in a whole bunch of more stuff. Does anybody know what that is called? So I'll say it on this one too. Okay, so we have our cell right here, and the cell wall is going to break up these rectangular lines. And then in between the cell wall and like this part right here, if we were thinking of like an egg, like a chicken egg that most of you would eat if you're not a vegan, this would be the yolk part. So the big yellow part of an egg is the yolk, but it has another special name when it's just a general, any type of cell. And then the egg whites, that's the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm is the kind of stuff that everything else floats around in. So the cytoplasm is going to be this area right here on the, oops. So this area kind of out here. So I'll kind of wiggle my mouse for that. Cytoplasm, cytoplasm, cytoplasm. So it's the stuff that fills in what would otherwise be empty space. But then we have this kind of circular area in the middle that holds all the stuff. Perfect, I heard the nucleus. Thank you, Carlos. So this is our nucleus right here. The nucleus holds all the important stuff. The nucleus is, if you think of an egg as a cell, then that is the yolk. The yolk is the nucleus. So inside of that, all these weird, crazy, gray, woogly, schmoogly craziness things, those are chromosomes and DNA. And these are the things that make proteins. And then Matthew, are you trying to raise your hand or? No? Okay, cool. I'm like, do you have a question or just like stretching? Stretching is fine. Questions are fine too. And let's see, I've got someone just coming in. And Everardo's back. All right. So our cell wall, because this is a plant cell, it's a rectangle shape. And then the cytoplasm is all the stuff that swooshes in between. It's probably some sort of fluidy stuff. And then on the inside, we have our nucleus. And inside the nucleus is all of our DNA and our chromosomes. Okay, so growth and cell division. The process of one cell dividing into two daughter cells is called cell division. So please go ahead and write that out. Okay, so I'll give you another couple seconds to write this down. I'm not saying anything right now, so if anybody's trying to check their speakers, that's why you can't hear anything. Okay. All right, so one cell dividing into two daughter cells. That is cell division, but it's more like multiplication. Ba-dum-bum. Most of the cells in your body reproduce by dividing this way. So most of the cells in our body, so that would be our skin cells, the cells that make up our eyes, our lips, our tongue, our organs inside of us, so our lungs, our heart, our liver, our kidneys, our bladder, any part of your body that you can think of, cell division is what keeps it from just dying and being destroyed. Our bones grow because of cell division. So most of the cells in your body reproduce by dividing this way, where they make two exact perfect copies of itself. Okay, so most cells that you can think of in your body reproduce through cell division, where they make two identical copies. So this is kind of what it would look like. So you would start out with your parent cell at the top, and then it splits up and makes two identical daughter cells. And we just call them daughter cells. It doesn't matter, male, female. I'm not going to assume their gender. That's just the term that they use for science. And then each of those daughter cells, they can actually, again, split up into two more. So I have my one piece of paper. I split it into two. But each half of that, I was able to split into two again. And then I was able to split that into two, split that into two, split that into two, and that into two. So every daughter cell can split up into two more, two more, two more, two more, two more. You made daughter cells, yes. So I just had Aspen say, OMG, we made kids with our paper then? Yes, your paper had children's, and they had two children, and they had two children, and so on, and so on, and so on. You can write down anything that is not already right up here. So if you know more about biology than I do, which is possible, then you don't have to write this. But if this is brand new to you and you're still learning this for the first time, if you're still learning this for the very first time, then please write it down. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get a recording of this later, because I do have at least one student who's having trouble hearing today. Hopefully he'll be able to hear the recording. I don't know. But please go ahead and take notes on any of this, and the slides are also available on Zoom. Okay. So chromosomes, visible. I don't know where that arrow is trying to point. We'll figure it out in a moment, probably. Actually, I can look at this and see where it's trying to point. Okay, a chromosome is a structure made of DNA. Okay, there is a picture. There we go. Okay, so a chromosome is a structure made of DNA and protein in cells with a nucleus. It's made up of protein and DNA. There we go. I'll say those together. Individual chromosomes are not clearly visible under a microscope until just before a cell divides. So right here, we have inside our nucleus all these random squiggles. And I'm gonna go ahead and type that in the chat. The random squiggles, that's the scientific term I'm going with today, kids. The random squiggles, it sounds like wriggle. So wiggle, wriggle, squiggle. All right, so nucleus, and then inside there's all these squiggles, which are just strands of DNA waiting to be used. Okay, so right before mitosis starts, right before the cell starts copying itself, it doubles the DNA. So right before copying itself, the cell will copy and double its DNA. So we have some squiggles here, a lot of squiggles. Some squiggles, a lot of squiggles. Some, a lot. Some, a lot. All right. We eat strings of protein in our food, yes. So that is exactly what protein is. It is that. Pretty much almost all food that we eat is from an organism. So it is from a living thing. That means we eat cells. Nom, nom, delicious. All right. Exceptions to that would be things like salt. Vitamins and minerals would be more of just a chemical, normally a solid. Minerals are solid chemicals. So you eat chemicals and strings of protein made from cells. Delicious, right? I always laugh when I hear water is a chemical. Water is a chemical. It is dihydrogen monoxide, or H2O. So water is just a chemical, and it's something we drink, so it is a liquid. But as far as most things that we eat and chew, those are either solid chemicals or cells. So surprise. And fruits, those are baby plants. All right, so after it doubles, let's see, the cell cycle, my addition, cell. Yeah, pretty much. You go to cell, breaks up to cell, yep. All right, so I'm gonna put some more into the chat. After the DNA is doubled, it organizes into chromosomes, X shapes, into chromosomes and chromatid pairs. Okay, so all these squiggles, there's a whole bunch of them now. They start to kind of organize and get together, and they're like, you know, we're going to make this happen. We are going to duplicate this cell. And so they arrange themselves into long spindles. So I'm actually just going to take like a pipe cleaner. Kind of hard to see, but this is just a pipe cleaner. It looks kind of like you could imagine DNA looking like when it goes into a chromosome. So it'll arrange itself into one chromosome, and then it will pair itself up with a copy chromosome. And they'll make like an X shape. X marks the spot. Okay? So they're going to arrange themselves like this, and they're going to start to produce proteins, and they're going to copy themselves, and they'll be ready to form a new cell. All right. Chromosomes. Chromosomes organize the DNA. So the DNA goes from squiggly strings. I'm saying that's the word I'm using today, peeps. Squiggly strings into organized strands of chromosomes. So, for example, humans have 46 chromosomes, but chickens have 78. So in our bodies, we have a lot more than 46 total chromosomes, but in one of our cells, there's 46 chromosomes. So in this random cell right here on my finger, there's 46 chromosomes. In this cell right here on my eyeball, 46 chromosomes. On a cell in my lung, there's 46 chromosomes. Every single cell in your body, every single cell in my body, there's 46 chromosomes. There's 46 of those strands of DNA. So I'm going to type that out, and you guys can also write it down. But in chickens, they have 78 chromosomes. So if you're eating dinner and it happens to be some chicken, you're eating 78 chromosomes per cell in that chicken. If you're having a chicken egg for breakfast or something like that, it would actually only have, what's half of that? 35 plus 4. It would have 39 chromosomes in it, hopefully. Hopefully it's just an egg and it wasn't fertilized. So chicken eggs would have 39 chromosomes, but chicken itself would have 78 chromosomes. So there's a person sporting a nice yellow shirt, and then we got a chicken saying, ah, ah, ah. Y'all didn't know I could speak chicken, did you? You didn't know. You didn't know. I can talk to the animals. I can talk like the animals. All right. So a housefly has 12 chromosomes. A tomato plant has 24. So do you guys think that having more chromosomes means that an organism is more complex? What do you think? Go ahead and tell me in the chat. What do you think? Do more chromosomes mean that the organism is more complex, has more stuff going on? I'm going to go back one slide while you guys are still thinking about that. So I've got some yeses and some nos. Would anybody like to raise their hand so I can call on you to maybe state your case for yes or no of which is more complex? Anybody want to say their idea? To be fair, I personally do not know the answer. I have my opinion, but I don't know the actual, if there is an answer about do the number of chromosomes make something more or less complex. Okay. So I'm going to go forward again in just a moment. just so I can have that picture of the fly and the tomato. Okay. All right, so a housefly has 12 chromosomes and a tomato has 24 chromosomes. A tomato has 24 chromosomes? That's not very complex. It's just so number of chromosomes does not mean IQ. Number of chromosomes does not say how smart it is. I mean, look at that tomato. That tomato has 24 chromosomes. A fly has 12. Is a tomato smarter than a fly? I hope not. And tomato. So it's like got fleshy, it's got seeds in the middle, it's got some leaves. It tastes gross. You know, a tomato. But a housefly has half as many chromosomes. Has anybody seen the eyes of a housefly? Give me a thumbs up if you have seen what the eyes of a housefly looks like. Okay, so I got a thumbs up from the video. One person says no. All right, let's see what I can find. So I'm gonna try to see if I can find all right, this will do. Let me switch my share. So this right here, this is a close-up. It's like zoomed in super far of one eye of a housefly. All those little spots is another place where they can receive light, where they can receive light, where they can receive light. And it takes all that information, just like our two eyes do. And our each of those eyes is just one retina, one place to receive light and receive information. Okay, getting distracted by people playing around on the cameras. So every single one of those pieces, there's like hundreds, thousands. I don't even know how many there are, but there's all these little pieces that just make up the eyeball of a housefly. I don't know if we can teach a fly. The amount of chromosomes, again, does not necessarily mean how smart it is. Because again, a tomato has 24 chromosomes. I've never seen a tomato come to my class. So I think that we're all smarter than a tomato, I hope. I really hope. And that housefly, it actually has some free will. It can fly around, it can do some stuff, and it only has 12 chromosomes. So does having more chromosomes mean an organism is more complex? Maybe, depends on what you call complex. But looking at that eyeball of a housefly, I think that's wrong. But I'm not a research biologist, so I am not the best person to answer that question. I'm like the opinion section in a newspaper. Don't trust me on that one. So I don't know the answer. This is more of a thing to just kind of think to yourselves. What do you think it is? Okay, the cell cycle. Let me see how much time we've got left. Oh, we are about halfway through. So the cell cycle is the period of time from the beginning of one cell division to the beginning of the next. It consists of 3 stages. Interphase, so most of the time, your cells are just hanging out. They're just existing. They're just being there. And they're in what's called interphase. So if you guys have ever heard of intermission, let me put that out here. So intermission, has anybody heard that word before? Okay, I'm getting a nod. If you've ever been to like the drive-in movies, in between the first movie and the second movie, they have an intermission. If you're at a Some sports events, they will call the break, like the 7th inning stretch in baseball, halftime during football, they will call it intermission. As if we're thinking about like sports or going to the movies, what's different about intermission compared to the thing you're actually there for? Okay, oops. That was meant for the whole class, sorry. So let me just put that out to everybody. Okay, so what is different about intermission compared to the rest of the sporting event? What happens during intermission? Anything? Who's winning during intermission? What part of the movie is playing during intermission? I can just randomly call on somebody. I think I might have to randomly call on someone. I'm gonna start with, okay, maybe the trailer is happening. Let's see. Got some thumbs ups. Okay, I had some cameras turn on to say, I'm here, I swear. Okay, so halftime versus the rest of the game. What's happening during halftime? Okay, maybe it's the beginning. So is the game being played during intermission, or is nothing happening? Okay, so maybe this question will help out. If we're thinking about halftime during football as being called intermission, is the game being played, or is nothing happening during intermission? So now I'm only asking for one word to be told to me. So if you are on your phone, please make sure that you are on Zoom instead. If you are taking a nap, please make sure you're awake and in Zoom. Okay, so I heard A, nothing is happening because it's like a break. Perfect. So interphase sounds a lot like intermission. Interphase, it's kind of a break. All that's happening is the cell is growing and it's developing. Not too much craziness is going on. After interphase, then the cell decides, you know what, I'm old. I need to pass on my genetic code. I need to split up into 2 different cells, or else this organism that I am a part of is going to die. So I'm going to start undergoing mitosis. Okay, so mitosis, that is the process where the cell starts to actually divide and break up. So that's where it starts to go from 1 into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8, 8 into 16, 16 into 32. And then at cytokinesis, that's where it splits up into 2 different cells and the whole process starts all over again. Okay, so interphase, the cell grows, it gets old, it decides, you know what, time to split up into 2 new cells. It splits up during mitosis, or it copies all the DNA, it organizes the DNA, and then it splits during cytokinesis. So based on this picture, which part of the cell cycle takes the longest? Go ahead and type it into the chat. Which part of the cell cycle takes the longest? Perfect. I've got one correct answer already. So everybody type into the chat. Perfect. I got 2 correct answers. I'm at 100% participation being correct. So if you want to be correct, participate, and you will probably be correct. I've got 3 correct answers. Perfect. 4 correct answers. Excellent. 5. Everybody who's participated is still correct. I got 1 more. Perfect. Perfect. You guys are paying too much attention to me. Gosh. All right. Perfect. I got an interphase. I don't know. Apparently you do know because you just got it right. All right. So according to this graph, interphase is the longest phase. And then once mitosis starts happening, it's like, ba-bam, we got this. All right. Tons of people saying interphase, interphase, interphase. I'm going to go ahead and stop right here, even though we're only about halfway through. We will talk more about this tomorrow before you guys take your test. I want you guys to do as good as possible on it, and I'm hoping that everybody will be able to hear tomorrow. So I'm going to try to record this and get it ready for you guys. Let's see. So if I go to Schoology, we have this section 10.1 PowerPoint, and your homework is to watch the Edpuzzle about mitosis, a simple introduction. So the video itself is only like 2 minutes long. Let's see. I forget how long it is. Yeah, whatever. Back. And right there. This is our plan for the week right here. Yeah, the video is 1 minute, 19 seconds. Your homework is to watch a 1 minute video. Okay, so and I tried to make the questions easy enough to where if you're paying attention, you got it. Okay, and you can even use this button right here. This is the replay button. So if it gets to a question and you missed 1 or 2 of the words it said, hit that replay and it will replay that last section for you, okay?